So Dan, 5 weeks to go. We've had a chance to look at the positioning of the trees. How's that changed things for you today?
Well, it's always a delightful surprise to start getting the plants into a garden because they bring a completely new dimension. You know, we've now got shadow patterns coming onto the rocks and spaces between the rocks we didn't have before, with views and tunnels and sight lines and new things we hadn't thought about being revealed. So it's always a series of surprises, delightful ones really, when this level of greenery goes in. And even though this is just a building site, you can imagine yourself in this garden already, and we've got a couple of little walks we've been planning through it today, which are as a result really of getting the trees in, new additions to things which are going to make it that more tangible and that more charming and that more like the place that inspired it really.
So in the process today, there's been quite a bit of sort of revision and editing. How have you found that process, and what do you think it's led to?
I always go through a process of editing during the actual planting out of a garden. You can only plan so much on a drawing board, so you have your plant lists that you've decided will be appropriate and combinations in mind, but when you get onto site it's always worth maintaining a degree of flexibility so that you can respond specifically to what's going on the ground, because that's where the really magical things happen and you get the juxtaposition of one thing with another that you wouldn't get on a flat plan, that you get as soon as things become three-dimensional. And that's what today's been about, is getting the garden into our heads and starting to imagine the first stage of putting these green building blocks into the site, and enabling us then to make the next step forward, which is to think about the understory, which will come next.
Each tree has to be positioned using a crane, given the weight of the trees and the size of the site at Chelsea. We have about 30 trees to plant, and each one has to be handled really carefully. Some are over 40 years old. With some of the trees weighing over 5 tons, like these salix, it's always a slow process. But the good weather over the last few weeks has created a few challenges for us. We're keen to protect the moss on some of the rocks, so we've covered the entire mock-up with netting to create some shade from the sun. Over the next few days, we'll start taking the mock-up apart in preparation for shipping it all to the Chelsea Flower Show.